Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because of my video rewatchability of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice versus Captain America Civil War DVD and Blu-ray sales, I'm going to actually do this video because I see you responding to this particular video, and particularly some people talking about Batman v Superman being a classic. Now, some people, they watch the movie and they give me superficial reasons why they like the movie every time, and that's cool. But for me, I'm a conceptual person. So for me, it goes a little deeper why I like the movie. And why, when I see these concepts demonstrated on the big screen, it means a lot to me. Okay? So first and foremost, before I go into anything extra, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, to me, is a classic. And it's going to be a classic through time when people look back at the movie and how much it had to offer conceptually. Besides also all the little Easter eggs and all these little pieces that actually fit into the universe further on, it's creating a tremendous foundation so that people will understand why the characters behave as they are as we look at the movies that go on. But I just wanted to show you conceptually how deep this movie goes. Okay? First of all, let me refer you to certain places. The links will be in the discussion, and not in this comment section below. I may put it in the comment section below, but I'll also put it in the info section. Okay, go check out Mark Hughes' interview with Zack Snyder. He discussed some of the themes in Batman v Superman. There's so many, it's not funny. And then you can go to comicbookmovie.com and check out the themes in Batman v Superman as well. As you can see, there's themes such as hope, themes such as fear, power, sacrifice, and heroism, and family, okay, that they mention. They're more superficial themes that they speak about, but they're pretty good. And also the interview with Zack Snyder is a very good one with Mark Hughes. I will not go into detail. You can always read those articles. The article I'm actually going to focus on is an inventory of themes in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. This guy goes pretty deep into the movie, so I just wanted to just kind of browse through it very quickly. Now, there are two things I really need to put some emphasis on. The first thing that he speaks about is the reaction to BVS is basically like a reaction to fire. When little children put their hand in fire and they get burnt, they instantaneously end up hating fire. But when you learn that the sun is made up of fire and that without fire there would be no life, you realize there's a much more significance to fire. And just like how he speaks also about prehistoric cavemen running from fire, and then they learn later on that you can use fire for different things, he thinks that BVS is mainly the same thing. You can't live without this movie. It actually has a lot of introspection in it and a lot of thought put into it. But like anything else, the movie industry needs to put these things out in a controlled manner, otherwise it will just run amok. And he also claims that he's not equating people who don't like the movie to children or cavemen, because he himself didn't like the movie initially. But on reflection, he says the reaction is like a reflexive reaction. That's what he's saying. But when you start to ponder on the movie and it starts to grow on you, you begin to realize how deep this movie is. And he goes into some of the themes. One, Superman's unilateral action. His unilateral action reminds us of very recently United States unilateral action against Syria, where they bombed Syria. Okay? And that unilateral action that happened with the bombing of Syria was one that just the United States made. They were the only ones that made the decision to bomb, and they bombed. And there was no consultation. Even the Iraq war was kind of multilateral to some degree. It was America and the Allies. It wasn't the UN that actually holistically agreed on this. But there was no consultation here. And Superman acted unilaterally a lot. He crossed boundaries. He didn't respect boundaries. He'd go into people's place. Yes, he did good. He didn't really kill people, unlike the bombing that happened. But if we react to the unilateral action of America on Syria unfavorably, negatively, we start to question it. Just imagine how the people in Superman's world would react to unilateral action. This comic book movie, like the comic books, provokes thought into issues that happen around us. And that's what comic books actually do. They don't just create fantasy realities. They actually discuss things. And so you find that Batman responds as how an American in post 9/11 would respond. He's very phobic to aliens, illegal aliens. He's very phobic towards people coming into the country from certain countries where sometimes terrorism is known to be exported or whatever. And so Superman is like a foreigner acting unilaterally, and this is the reaction of the world to that, as well as the American citizens. Batman kind of captures what the American citizens in America right now feel. They feel that you should just kick out all the people who don't really actually belong in this country or are not looking like me and behave like me. So I thought that was pretty deep. And you can go ahead and look at that in more detail. Now, the balance of aneema and animus in the human mind. This may be a little too heady for people, so let me just explain what that means. Aneema is the feminist side or the female side of a man, which is usually suppressed, and so subconsciously you react in a certain way. Whereas animus is the masculine side of a woman, and this comes out with certain reactions. For instance, a woman reacting to men may sometimes give a masculine side of herself to interface with the male in an understanding that you will understand, and similarly a male with a female. Particularly we talk about boys with their mothers. Boys with their mothers behave in a slightly feminine way, and girls with their fathers behave in a slightly masculine way. And the Martha moment brought together, converged these two psychological types. It emerged that feminine side of Batman when he started to link to his mother's death. And with Superman, similarly, it brought out, because of his love for his mother with Lex Luthor, you saw the feminine side of him, even though he wanted to torque Lex Luthor at first, and then later on he succumbed to Lex Luthor. All right? And so you saw these different archetypes. Also, when he's with Lois Lane, you see the interaction, and with his mother as well. He behaves like this little boy, almost like a little girl. So these were explored in the movie. This is kind of psychological more than anything else, but it's really interesting. Now, the Nietzschean concept of God is dead and we have killed him was also brought forth in this movie. Well, this is the Nietzschean concept. The Nietzschean concept basically is that God doesn't exist because we have the technology and the skill set to not have to deal with God. So, for instance, Lex Luthor is espousing a scientific thought that as we understand the world more and we see reality, the concept of having a God is not needed. And so Lex Luthor, in essence, espoused the Nietzschean concept, which says if God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he's all good, he cannot be all powerful. And since it's a paradox, he was saying that Superman, he's not, if he is God, he can't be all good. And if he is not God, he's just a man, then guess what? He can be destroyed. So even if he's all good as a man, somehow, some way, he will be destroyed. And so that's the Nietzschean concept. And it plays out that Lex Luthor in this movie seems to be proven to be correct, because apparently Superman proves to be pretty good as a person. We don't know if he's all good, but as a person, he's pretty good. But as Batman was saying, you're not God and you're not even just a man, but he proves to be more human than Batman thinks. But at the end of the movie, Superman is actually killed. He's not immortal. He is impaled and killed by one of his own kind, a Kryptonian like himself, big strong one. And it proves that he cannot be God, because he's not all powerful. And God, according to us as humans, he's all powerful and he's all good. But that's not possible, according to Lex Luthor, and he seems to be proven correct so far, at least when it comes to Superman. Now, the fourth point he gives is it's a reflection of our time, and he goes into the pureness of art. He says, art, according to Ernest Fisher, in a decaying society is supposed to reflect that decay. And unless it wants to break faith with its social function, art must show the world as changeable and help to change it. So while art will reflect the world around it, it can also show that it doesn't have to stay the way it is. It can change, and it probably will. Whichever way it changes, art is supposed to help people by helping them see the mirror of themselves, and then encourage them to want to have a change effect. And this is expressed very well by Batman. Batman says basically, men are still good, we fight, we kill, but we can rebuild, we have to, we will. So that is also something pretty deep, and you can go into more detail on that. He also talks about the fifth point, which is that the story structure is based on a Greek revenge tragedy, which is pretty true. And you can go into some more detail about it. He says it's not a typical superhero movie, and that is true. He also talks, number 6, about the movie exploring what it means to be a hero from 3 different points of view. The first one is the outcast or the alien. So the alien or outcast shows how he can be a hero in this world, even though sometimes at the point in time people do not appreciate him as a hero, and sadly sometimes he must sacrifice his life so people can get the message. The second one is about a man who has lost everything, his family, his friends, his people, for whom protecting the world from an alien threat is the only thing left in his life. And the third one is a demigoddess, or a small common G goddess, who has lost faith in humanity and has left us to defend ourselves from each other until she's inspired by another hero's sacrifice for humanity. So there are 3 heroes, and they're not heroes all the time. Now, point number 7, I think, is the one that flies in the face of most people and makes them have to think. It was a deconstruction of modern myth, the modern epic, that all superheroes are, and what iconic names like Batman and Superman definitely are. So it deconstructed what a hero is. Usually when we think of a hero, we think of somebody, everything is happy and gay, or things go bad, but they come back good. And generally the hero pulls it together, they're convicted, and they eat their Wheaties, right? But in this movie, it is not so much about that. And it actually speaks a lot towards how we deem heroic people from a distance. From a distance, you know, we talk and we praise this person, we praise that person. Martin Luther was a great hero. But when we get up close to Martin Luther and we get closer to his time, then we're conflicted, because now the people seem controversial. Now the deeds and the conviction that these people have to do what they're doing, all of a sudden is called into question. Because in the period of time when somebody is standing up and doing the right thing, people see them as evil most of the time. At least there's a split down the center, and it's a controversial thing. Just like this movie is right now. In its current time, it's going to be controversial. When people move away, start to reflect on it, realize the significance of what it had to offer, they're going to see it as the greatest movie in the world, and they're going to hail it as all of this and that. And it always happens. In the time period, in the actual time, people were not unanimously praising this film, as they were not unanimously praising Martin Luther, which is why he died. This is why he was assassinated. Which is why JFK was assassinated. JFK was loved a lot, but there were elements that did not like him, and a significant portion. When we think of the United States of America today, it is divided. 42% of the people, or 45% of the people, vote for hate, segregationism, and anti-immigration into their country by voting for Donald Trump. Whether they like it or not, this is what they believe. This is what they voted for. It is split down the middle. It is very controversial. Donald Trump right now is a very controversial figure. Will he turn out in history to be one of the greatest people of all time? I don't think so. But the point is, anyway, if he doesn't get impeached, the point is this guy's trying to bring back Hitler's times. But guess what? Barack Obama in his term, there was so much partisan and sectarianism against Barack Obama, even though he was elected unanimously twice. And even now they're trying to mess up his legacy, which will never happen because good always triumphs in the end. If you've read the scripture that I talked about, and evil will be shown up for what it is. It's temporary. But to find that people will pick someone so atrocious and evil and wicked over another person because they want to lash back. It's a lashback. Now the world's lashing back on the election of Donald Trump by the United States of America and the Russian presence in it, and everybody's seeing how dirty and ugly these people are. And I'm saying to you, Zack Snyder and they are considered evil right now, calling the murderverse and all of that, even though some Marvel films have more murder in them, and callous murder at that, than Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. It is what it is. But the truth be told, that as time goes along, these movies that were lambasted, hypocrites will turn around and say they were the greatest movies of all time and how they all are fans of it, even though they weren't. They were haters. And it's because of the deconstruction of the modern myth of heroes. What truly makes a hero is what people wanted to know. And this movie challenged that. It challenged it to the core. Number 8, it draws parallels between Jesus and Superman. Yes. But it's very interesting that the parallels are Jesus was considered an evil person on this earth even though he never did something evil. As Superman, who didn't do anything evil in this movie, was accused by the people in the movie of killing people, and there were lies, blatant lies, that Superman killed people. And people believed the lies in reality. The people, actually the haters of this film and the people who were annoyed, were perturbed by it, said that Superman killed people and he was murdering Superman. They even alleged that in Man of Steel, Superman killed people, when he never did. He never killed anyone. And he didn't allow anyone to die except for his dad, of course. But other than that, he never allowed anyone in that city to die. The destruction was squarely on Zod's shoulders. He took a world engine and started terraforming the world and killing people left, right, and center. Superman didn't kill all those people. In fact, at the end of his fight with Zod, when he killed Zod, Zod was trying to kill people. And people forget in this movie that when Superman confronted Feora, Feora said to him, "Every life you save, we will kill 1,000,000 more." Superman, up in his vision with General Zod, saw, General Zod was able to get in his head and speak to him, saw that Zod intended to kill every single human being on Earth and terraform it into Krypton, into a new Krypton. So the alternative to mass lives dying was some lives dying. Substantial amount of lives, but some lives dying. Do you understand the threat Superman was up against? Maybe people always think of the bad guy and they were desensitized to who General Zod was. In terms of us being humans and General Zod coming down to Earth with us, General Zod would be the devil. Now, to General Zod and his people, because we're seeing it from a wide lens, we can see General Zod's perspective and ours. To General Zod and his people, he would have been a hero. Except he was not using moral and ethical lines, which is what Feora Zod was saying. Because, Superman, you have a moral and ethical obligation to a people, we have an evolutionary advantage. That's what Feora L said. Her logic made sense. But was it something that was worth the while? Did she appreciate and value life, all life? No. Now you think about all of those comic book movies. This is an indictment on comic book movies. Even the recent Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You side with the protagonist of the movie. So you don't care if the protagonist kills a whole ton of gold people. Right? In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You don't care that in Civil War and even in the Avengers Age of Ultron, that the Avengers killed a whole set of people. And in Civil War, even though they had this debate over lives being lost in the Sokovia Accord, they go and kill a whole bunch of people in a certain scene in that movie. I will not say which. They killed a whole bunch of people in that traffic incident when they were crashing with the traffic and stuff. Okay? You see what I'm saying? My point is this. People made an outcry about certain things, but when you look, Volume 2, we side with the protagonist of the movie. Now just imagine that protagonist. Just take the Guardians of the Galaxy, replace them with General Zod. All of a sudden we are siding with Zod, killing people because we're on Zod's side. So it really depends on which side you're on. But BVS is saying that's not cool. That's not cool. BVS is saying all life is important. And they make you look at Zod's perspective, and they make you look at Superman's perspective. And they make you pity Zod at certain points in time when all his people are gone into the Phantom Zone, and his last hope for having a race of Krypton, not knowing that the hope is still there with Superman. Once Superman is alive, Krypton's hope is there. But that the whole race of Krypton is lost. He just lost everybody. And it made you pity Zod, and it made you feel for Zod when Superman snapped his neck, even though Superman had to pick between human life and Zod's life. And though Superman's a Kryptonian, he picked human life over Zod, because the humans were on the earth first. It makes you think about America invading the New World, the Americans who came from Europe, and they killed off all the Native Americans and made them say, oh, you need to have this plot of land here. This belongs to you. United States of America now belongs to us because we're stronger. This movie's deep, man. Nobody thinks about the Native Americans that used to be here. It was all about might. Who has the greater might owns the land. Well, if that's true, just imagine an alien coming to this world. He got greater might than us, so he wipes out the whole entire human race. How do you feel about that? You're going to gripe about the fact that Superman stopped him? And a couple lives died? Think of it this way. If we are to have a nuclear war between superpowers, you think anybody's thinking about the fact that a whole bunch of lives are lost? Or are we going to be thinking about the fact that someone stopped the nuclear war and there's still a remnant of us left? And we got to deal with the fallout of that nuclear war, all the radiation in the atmosphere, the change of weather conditions. No one is really thinking about the consequences of terraforming the earth, how it would affect the climate, the weather of the earth, and all of that. And Superman was able to stop it. So BVS came and followed up on Man of Steel and showed the fallout and how human beings behave. How we bitch and moan about everything. How we're spoiled children. How we forget that our Messiah, or Savior, in this case would be Superman in the movie, how he saved them. Why they had a monument there. But now they give you perspective from different people, and Batman encapsulates that. Just like how we have in the United States of America, Americans blaming other people, saying, you take our jobs. All you Mexican illegal immigrants, you're taking our jobs. No, they're not. Oh, we're outsourcing jobs now to other countries, so we can't get work. No, they're not. That's the fox and the grape, bitter at work. You need to upgrade yourself. What next you're going to say? Robots are taking our jobs. The robots don't got no mind. You have to better yourself for the era you're in. There's no longer going to be a 9-to-5 job guaranteed for you and pension at the end of the day and Social Security. Now we're going to have contract work, and you have to step out and reinvent yourself and realign yourself with the changing times. Which is why I'm doing YouTube videos as part of my income. So, very deep stuff. Number 9, the bombing scene was shown to show how corporate power has destroyed democracy. And it is destroying democracy. Right now we have, as the President of the United States, a corporate businessman. And you think he cares about the average person? No, he doesn't. He cares about his corporate business and about corporate business people he works with. Number 10. This film is about how the world isn't just black and white. And morality cannot be seen in those terms. He's absolutely correct. It depends on situations. It depends on conditions. One minute we say, oh, look, man, stealing is wrong. But in the context of someone who is poor, who has been stolen from, his land and property has been stolen from him, been oppressed, and now steals back property where he used to live. Like, for instance, the immigrants who come illegally into this country, who are descendants of Native Americans who used to be in this country, who've been driven out of this country. Then you cannot be angry at them for coming back in illegally, because their forefathers used to live there. And you're the one that stole the stuff from them and took it, seized it because you were more powerful. Similarly, sometimes a corporate structure comes and seizes property and land from other people, driving them out of an area, a ghetto or a broken down area, so they can rebuild. And they steal from these people, and by technical legal terms, they get the property from them. Now these people come back and they steal from the corporated structures, and they pilfer and they do all kinds of things and give them trouble. You cannot say that those people don't have some sort of justification behind. I think of Judah. I'm going biblical here. He promised Tamar that he would give his last son to her, but he held him back. So what did she do? She pretended to be a whore, and she got a child from Judah. She got a twin. And when Judah found out she was playing the harlot, he sent out to kill her. And she had his emblem. She had his rod and she had his thing. And she said, "Whose are these? By this man is where I got my children from." Now, playing the whore is not necessarily a good thing. That's wrong. But she was righteous in what she did, because he promised her that she would have a child by him. She would have the last son. But he held back the son from her. So she got 2 children. And here's the funny thing about those 2 children. Out of one of those 2 children came Jesus Christ. His forefather is Tamar, who played the harlot. But she was right. So you can't say morally that things are black and white. It depends on the situation. It depends on who really was just and who was unjust. And people don't always think about it that way. Judah said to Tamar, "You're more righteous than me, because I did promise you my son and I didn't give him to you." And Pharez was the great ancestor of Jesus Christ, the Messiah of the earth. So no matter how people there's another harlot that actually got married to a person of Judah named Rahab, and she helped out. She was playing the harlot, and she helped out some Judah people. Of course, she didn't stay a harlot, but the point is, she played the harlot, and it was wrong to play the harlot. But because she played the harlot, she was able to hide these Jewish people, and because of that, she married one of the Jewish people and became a ancestor of Jesus Christ again. She was the ancestor. And then we got Ruth, who was the Moabitess. I can go on and on about you should not marry strangers. You should not marry the children of Moab. And they went and married the children of Moab. That was wrong. But because they married Ruth, and Ruth had the love in her and the moral compass to be dedicated to Naomi, Ruth got blessed. So yeah, you're right. The world isn't just black and white. That's why they say don't live in the letter of the law, live in the spirit of the Lord. Again, a deep story, whether you're religious or not. So I wanted to highlight Movie Pilot's excellent review of Batman v Superman, and how people are actually changing their opinions about this movie. And the further away we go from its debut, and the reaction of people and the haters and so on, because the haters will fade away. Maybe it'll take 10, 20, 30 years before they disappear. But the point is, or the competition between DC and Marvel, that fades off, and people are cool now. And then they're able to, with a level head, see this movie. Then they'll realize just how much of a classic it is and how informative it is. And as a comic book movie, that's a first. Guys, thanks for watching all my videos this morning. And thanks also to those of you who want to donate to my channel and have expressed so, and even contact me by messaging. Remember, to donate to my channel, just simply message me and I'll give you the directions in what to do. I've gotten some money from some of you guys online. I am thankful. Thank you so very much for doing that. And I would like, if you guys can get other people to sponsor me so I can continue doing these videos on an even much more regular basis, because I do see the potential in this to help a lot of people open their minds to films, period. Not just DC films, because I don't care too much about whether it's DC or Marvel or whether it's Paramount or whether it's Universal. I don't really care about all of that. What I like to do when I sit down and watch a movie, because I'm a guy that's immersed in the arts, I do audio visuals, I do music, I do ads. So for me, I like the arts because the arts help to sort of develop people. See, there's always a point to the arts. There's a reason why we love entertainment. And entertainment is supposed to be informative to a certain degree. Yes, you may laugh and so on, but there's always supposed to be a point to it. Guardians of the Galaxy did it excellently. Love how they portrayed it. They had substance in it. And I think that Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice has a lot of substance. It has a lot of saying. And when you can unpack that movie, you really will benefit personally. Make you see the world a little bit different and make you see how we can progress forward. It's sad that sometimes the more poignant things in life are not as digestible as, say, garbage. It's sad, but it's true. So I hope that you guys benefited from this video. Please share these videos and don't forget to donate to my channel. I thank you guys. You guys have a great one.